In software development, one of the most important tools that you can learn to use is your terminal. Now, when you're first starting out, the terminal is admittedly pretty scary, but the truth is once you find your way around the terminal and learn just even a few of the basic commands, it's really not scary at all, and in fact can be a really great way to be more productive as a developer. So let's start with what is the terminal. You're probably used to navigating around your computer using something like Finder or the Windows Explorer, where you can see a number of folders and files inside, and it's fairly easy to navigate. I tend to like this view that's kind of a three-pane view, which allows me to more easily see nested folders and files. But obviously, if you have a different view and you want to kind of click in and click back to go back and whatnot, all of those actions are essentially allowing you to move around your computer and see where things are stored. And at its most basic, this is pretty much what the terminal is. Now there's a lot more that you can do with the terminal, but to start, we're going to learn how to navigate around our computer. Now, when I set up my computer, one of the things I did was change the prompt on my terminal, which is everything that kind of shows up here before this $sign. It's also possible yours will have a %sign, or if you've manually changed it to something else, it will be whatever that is. By default, it usually shows things like your computer's name, for example. And for me, that's not super useful information, so I actually changed mine to show me a path of where I currently am in the terminal in my computer. So this tilde actually has meaning. It means my home directory. Now, because I don't have a nice kind of nested view like I have in Finder or in Windows Explorer, at any given time, it might be difficult to know where you currently are located in your terminal. So the first command we will learn is called pwd, and that stands for Print Working Directory. If I hit return, it's going to tell me that I'm in /users/vschool. That is where I'm located in my computer. Now, I mentioned that tilde means my home directory. Essentially, tilde is a shorthand for this whole thing. And that way, if I need to very quickly get to my home directory, I can just, use the tilde as my shortcut. Let me go ahead and pull this to the side, and I'm going to show my Finder window here as well. Now you can see I've set it up so that I have quick access to my home directory right here in my favorites list in Finder. The next command in the terminal we're going to learn is the list command. Now, because programmers are lazy, this is shortened to just ls. If I hit return, you'll notice a similarity between these two. Here in my terminal, again, I'm in my home directory, and I have folders like applications, library, movies, pictures, a bunch of these default ones that come with a Mac, and then also this folder that I've created called development. And you'll see that those perfectly mirror what's over here in my Finder. So essentially, this Finder window is sort of a graphical user interface that lays over where the folders and files are actually located on my machine. Let me go ahead and move into my development folder. Now in Finder, I would simply click on development and it would show me the contents of development, which right now is just one folder called assignments. In order to move from my home directory into a nested folder like this development folder, I'm going to use the cd command, and that's short for change directory. So anytime I want to move directories, I'm going to use cd, and then I need a space, and then the name of the directory. So we'll say development. I can hit return, and you'll notice now that the way I have my prompt set up is indicating where I am in my computer. This is really helpful, so I pretty much never find myself having to use print working directory because I have that information right here in my prompt. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is to pause the video and think to yourself, how can I, from the terminal, determine what files and folders exist within development? Pause here and think about that for just a second. Okay, hopefully you remember the ls command, short for list. This helps us list all the files and folders that are contained within the folder we're currently inside of. And we kind of already knew this ahead of time because I have my Finder window up here, but the only thing inside of the development folder is the assignments folder. And so here I see my assignments folder. Now think to yourself, how do I get into the assignments folder? Pause and try to remember how to do that. Okay, again, pretty straightforward. CD, change directory into assignments. So let's say I start typing this out, assignments. I hit return. Uh-oh, no such file or directory. Honestly, this is something you're going to see a lot of times, but there's a very quick and easy solution and a habit that I would really like you to get into. This is going to make a huge difference to your life. When you have commands in the terminal, many times you can hit the tab key to automatically complete that command so you don't have to type out the whole thing. For example, if I'm going to cd into assignments, because I actually know ahead of time that there is only one thing inside of the development folder that starts with an A, I can just hit A and then hit my tab key, and this will automatically complete the name of the folder. Now, if I had multiple folders that started with an A, then I could just do, a second letter or a third or fourth or fifth letter and hit tab, and that will auto-complete that as well. So this might seem a little bit silly, but I truly am begging you to please practice using the tab key as much as you can. You'll likely find that there are some commands that you can't use the tab key for, but especially when you are referencing a file or folder name inside of the terminal, you can always use the tab key to automatically complete that. Now, with auto-completion, one thing to keep in mind is that it is case sensitive. So my personal preference is to always name my folders with a lowercase letter at the beginning. Obviously, this isn't the convention for Mac with some of the default folders, but you'll notice that I named my development folder with a lowercase d, my assignments folder with a lowercase a, and all of that is to help me use auto-completion in a quicker and simpler way. Let's say, for example, I were to change this to a capital A, and now I'm going to go back. First of all, I can list out the contents, and you'll see that assignments folder starts with a capital A now. If I want to use my autocomplete and I say cd A, S, and then hit tab, you'll kind of see this window flicker, and that's because it can't find anything. And again, that's because it's case sensitive. So I would have to remember that it starts with a capital A in order to then use tab to autocomplete it. This seems a little bit picky of me, but I truly do prefer not to have to know which files and folders I started with a capital letter. So especially with folders, I will always personally start them with a lowercase letter and make it so that I can easily tab complete. So now I can say lowercase a assignments and change into that directory. Okay, well, I've cd'd kind of deeper into my computer by going from the home directory to the development directory to the assignments directory. And by the way, when I say directory or folder, they're pretty much interchangeable. They mean the exact same thing. Well, how do I kind of go backwards? How do I get closer to my home folder? How do I get out of my assignments directory and go back to my development directory? Well, as a side note, the period key is essentially reserved in the terminal here to mean the current directory. So for example, if I were to say cd space period, this would frankly be kind of a useless command because it means change directory into the current directory, which I'm already there, so it's not really changing a directory. However, that leads me to the next command, which is to know what the period means. And period means the previous directory or the parent directory of the one that I'm currently in. So if I say cd space period or cd space ... and I hit return, you'll see that I actually went up a level back to my development folder. And again, if I do it again, cd space ... I go back another directory and I'm back in my home directory. Now, when you need to change directory multiple levels down or multiple levels up, you don't have to do a separate cd command on each line. Let me show you what I mean. If I wanted to get back into my assignments directory, or let's say even further, my first assignment directory, I can just say change directory, cd, into development, and I'm going to hit my tab key, assignments, tab, my first assignment, tab, and these forward slashes are separating each of the folders. In this way, I can chain it all together into one command, and I was able to get all of this typed up pretty quickly because of my tab key. I hit return, and you can see my prompt is showing me all the folders that I'm currently nested inside of. Let me make this a little wider. And similarly, if I want to go back, I can go cd space dot dot slash dot dot slash dot dot, and that will bring me back to my home directory. Now, going into your home directory is a fairly common thing to do, so let me go back into my nested directory here. And actually, let me talk about what I just did. I was able to hit the up key, and the up key will cycle through the most recent commands that you've put in. So you can see I can go all the way back to the beginning of my history, and that's how I was able to very quickly come back to my first assignment without actually typing anything. I just hit up twice at this point, and it put this old command back to the way it was. Now remember, I mentioned that the tilde is a shortcut term for the home directory. So if I want to quickly get back to my home directory, which is honestly a pretty common thing to want to do, I can simply say cd space and then the tilde key. And this is going to be a very quick way to get back to my home directory. Again, I'll hit up a couple times to put myself more deeply nested in the computer again. And you know what? These are starting to get a little bit cluttered. What I can do is I can just type the word clear, and it will just push everything to the top of my terminal window. Now I can still scroll up and see everything from before, but it essentially just gives me a bunch of white space to have a little bit of a cleaner working area. So we just talked about using cd tilde, and as kind of a little pro tip, again, programmers are pretty lazy, you can actually just say cd. If you just say cd and don't put anything in, it will take you back to your home directory. So I think that's everything we'll cover in this video. At this point, I really want you to open your terminal and just move around your computer. Use the cd command, the ls command, and the pwd command, and just start exploring your own computer. You're not going to damage anything or do anything bad if you just stick to those commands. So don't be afraid to practice. And once you're starting to feel pretty comfortable with using those commands, we'll move on to the next lesson and learn a little bit more about the terminal.